Hello, beautiful humans. I'm Jen Madrone. And in the last video, we started talking about the fear of death and the very real sensation of death that often accompanies the egoic death process. And we talked about how and why this happens because, as the ego begins to lose its grip on us, as it begins to lose its power, and as the curtain falls, the ego has a very real feeling of death. It feels like it's dying. It's not actually dying, but it's being absorbed by the authentic self. And it's losing its place of power that we had given it in our mind. And we're returning the ego back to the heart to be absorbed by that authentic nature. And it feels like it's actually dying. And it often um, will rebel and revolt when it feels like this. And so the ego gets a lot louder at this point. And so we have this fear of death and this sensation of death that arises at this point in the process because the ego is really feels like it's in the death throes. And so we can feel this sense of heaviness. We may feel like we're actually dead or dying. And there is a part of us that is dying. The old self is dying away. The old self is being released so that the new nature, the new authentic self, and our original nature can come through. And so there is an actual dying that's happening. Even though it's not completely physical in nature, it may feel like it is because it's really every cell of our body, all of us is feeling this sensation and feeling this loss. And so, what comes with this loss in this process is often a very deep grieving period, a sadness. It can often feel like depression. And if we don't know what's going on, it can be really confusing when we have this overwhelming sense of grief that comes up in us and we find ourselves crying a lot and we don't know why. And if we look into it and we can see that the ego is losing its power and that we're in the middle of this egoic death process, that we can understand that we are going through the grieving process. And our culture is not very good at grieving. We really were, most of us were not taught how to grieve. And grieving is a really important part of this process. It's a really important thing to know how to do. And grieving is really about honoring your feelings and honoring what is dying and what you're letting go of and what you're releasing. And so we really want to take the time to honor the part of us that is dying, honor the old self that is fading away, because that old self is what got us here to this moment. All of those protection mechanisms, everything that we built just to get us through life, to survive, allows us to be here right now in this moment going through this transformation. And so we really have to honor what is dying in us at this moment. And we do that through letting ourselves grieve, letting ourselves feel that sadness, and letting it move through our bodies instead of stuffing it down, or making a story up out of it. And so as we move and allow ourselves to move through that grieving process and really honor what is dying in us, honor what we don't need anymore, then we begin to go more deeply into that process of egoic death, and we begin to feel that death even more deeply. But we can see it a little clearer when we allow ourselves to grieve and we allow ourselves to honor what's dying. We can see the process of death a little bit clearer. And if we really dive in to the process of death, if we look at even the process of physical death, and we consider the fact, if you are someone who believes either in reincarnation, or that part of our soul, part of us, that our soul is eternal, then we have to admit that on some level, death is an illusion, that actual complete death doesn't occur. The physical body might die, but we don't die. Who we are doesn't die. We are just being transformed. And so death is a process of transformation, and deep transformation, whether it's physical or egoic death in nature. It's a process of incredible transformation. And so if we look at that and really honor that, then it can take some of the fear out of it and the resistance out of it. Because even though we may feel it sometimes like we are completely dying, and you will feel like that at some time, but if we allow ourselves to understand this concept of death, then we'll see that we're just undergoing a massive transformation, an incredibly massive transformation on every level of your being, which is absolutely amazing, because we are releasing all of the old barriers, all of the old protection mechanisms, all of the old beliefs, everything that have kept us hidden from our authentic self. And when we do this, then we are able to step into our full power. Then we are able to step into the full, amazing, beautiful beings that we are. And so I just want to honor you, all of you who are going through this process, and ask you to honor yourself and what's dying in you, and just sending you so much love, because I know this is not an easy part of the process. So I just love you all, and I'm really grateful for each one of you. And if any of you are ready to dive into the process of peeling back the illusions that have kept you blocked from your authentic nature, then please reach out to me and private message me. I'd love to tell you about the program that I've created to do this and help you through this process. And if you have any questions, just leave them here in the comment section. And just thank you guys all for listening. I just want to say hi to Joseph and Alana. Hello. And I'm going to say your name wrong. Joseus and Paul. Sorry about that pronunciation. All right. So much love to you all. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the Facebook group.